Hi, it's Barry Z from the Barry Z Show, coming to you live from the office of astrologer Bob Marks, right?
Right.
Tell me what an astrologer is. Most people don't know.
We read horoscopes. A horoscope is simply the position of the planets arranged around the Earth, and we put them on a piece of paper, see what they're doing, and that correlates with events here on Earth.
Can you look through your window and see the planets lined
This is
up?
New York City. We can't see anything in the sky. Everything is smogged out. No, I just stick to computerized charts, and those work quite well.
How did Bob Marks, the astrologer, get involved in this business?
I used to be a chemist. I was in graduate school going for a PhD in chemistry.
Here in New York City, right?
Adelphi, close. And one day I just became curious and took out a book about astrology from the library. I did my own chart.
Linda Goodman Sun Signs?
No. That was Astrology for Every Man by CEO Carter.
How long ago was that?
That was 1966. And
Wow.
I started thinking, well, maybe I'm reading into it. You know, this can't be. So I had a friend in Massachusetts.
What couldn't be?
It couldn't possibly work. It was just a superstition, I thought. So I had a friend in Massachusetts send me birth dates of people that he knew, but I didn't. I started, according to him, just taking things out of the book with 75% accuracy. I'll never forget that first chart. I said, this woman has a sharp tongue, and she can tear you apart in seconds with her sarcastic remarks.
Joan Rivers?
And he writes back, you're right, she's my wife.
Wow.
So
And it wasn't Joan Rivers?
No. It was not Joan.
So what do you need as far as information goes to accurately do charts?
Birth date, birth time, birth location. That's it.
That's it? Why?
That's enough. That works.
That's enough to pinpoint the planets
Oh, yes. That's right.
and see what lines up?
Sure. That's right.
For people, what, on a yearly basis?
Well, it's on a regular basis. You see, the planets are still moving around up there, and as they pass over places where planets were when you were born, things happen in your life. But there's something else, too. Mm-hmm. There's something called the solar return chart. I prefer to call it the birthday chart. Every year on your birthday, the sun is in the same location. And if you make a horoscope for that exact moment, plus a minor correction, that can actually set the stage for what happens to you during the course of your next year.
What can you find out? What can you look at the stars and say is going to happen to someone?
Well, look, with this solar return, if you don't like it, you can change it. You can actually turn the horoscope and change the wheel of fate. And you could do this by traveling, by being somewhere else on your birthday.
And your half birthday.
And yes, 6 months later on your half birthday. I've tried it myself. And the first time I tried it, I had a terrible birthday chart for New York. And
how terrible was it?
Well, I was a little bit hysterical when I first saw it. It's Sun, Moon, Pluto making a T formation, very stressful. So I figured I have to put this somewhere nice and weak. I went to Los Angeles and stayed there for 36 hours. I came back, and within 24 hours, my phone started ringing and ringing and ringing. It all of a sudden seemed that everybody wanted to have a reading. And I looked at the horoscope again, by accident, mind you. I made the career house and the money house very, very strong. And my income more than doubled that year. That was the year I became a full-time astrologer. 1981.
What did you need to become a full-time astrologer?
Yeah, well, I had
a course, books, a degree?
I'm born with the planet Mars, the planet of energy, in house number 9, the house of higher education. I taught myself.
What were you doing prior to this?
I was a chemistry teacher.
In a school here in Manhattan, or
I taught college chemistry at City College, Baruch College,
wow,
Adelphi University, the U.S. Merchant Marine Academy.
And you gave that all up for astrology full time?
Yeah. Well, actually, then I became interested in experimental education. and I started an experimental high school in Brooklyn, the New Prospect School,
Wow.
in 1970. Ran it for 4 years, and when it ran out of money, well, I took my hobby, astrology, and I turned it into a profession.
Why did you want to do it full time?
Because I love it.
And you were making money.
Uh,
More money than you ever made before.
I don't know about more money than I ever made before. Well, yes, teachers don't make that much money, but I could make a living at it. Yes, but the main thing is this is my chart showed that I had to be independent.
How many clients would you say you have currently?
I don't keep count of clients. I'm too busy helping them.
Yeah, but how many people do you see a week or a day?
I'd see at most 3 people a day.
Wow, 7 days a week.
No, I have to take time off. I mean, this is the 21st century. Nobody works 7 days a week anymore unless you're an entrepreneur setting up a new company.
So what information do you need from them when you meet them before you can do their chart?
Birth
and
date.
read them accurately.
Birth date, birth time, birth location.
That's all you need.
Well, actually, the city of their residence also, because I have to set up the birthday chart and the monthly charts, and they have to be set for a location.
How do you do that? By computer?
Yes, the computer. Thank God for computers. The calculations otherwise would take forever.
Now tell us what you find out about someone, or what you can tell them is coming up for them in the next year, or the next 6 months.
Basically everything. But the nice thing about the birthday chart is it can be relocated, and people can improve whatever part of their life they want to improve.
Like?
You want a better career, that could be done. You want more money, that could be done. Now, there are certain limitations. If you're 97 years old and your dream is to become an Olympic athlete, there's no place I can send you. Okay? I had one fellow who he wanted to improve his love life, and I forget where I sent him, but he said, he's going on more dates, but nobody ever came back after the first date.
What else can you change?
His personal hygiene was not the best. There are certain limitations.
So you can change someone's career, you can change someone's love life, you can change what else?
You could boost the health. I'm not a medical astrologer, but
That's another
boost the health.
That's another different forte, right?
Yes, I'm not a doctor, and I'm not even a medical astrologer.
What is a medical astrologer?
Medical astrologer would diagnose your ailments by looking at your horoscope. But again, unless they're an MD, they would have to say, have your doctor check this and have your doctor check that.
Now, in my chart, when you did my chart, you saw colon cancer, or the medical astrologer did, right? Pat, may she rest in peace.
Yes, that's right. She was able to read the details.
So you guys can save lives, like you did mine also.
Well, yes, that's true.
Now, how do you do that?
The same way we always do it.
By
Look at the
charts.
horoscope, yes.
Charts can tell if you're going to live or die.
It's statistical. You can tell if there's an increased chance of something happening.
Physically.
You just do not look at a person's horoscope and say, gee, you're going to have this terrible accident tomorrow. Too bad. Nothing you could do about it. And by the way, could you pay me in cash? No. You cannot do that. You say there's an increased chance tomorrow of an accident. Be very careful. Go slowly.
Now, how can you tell that?
If the planet Mars and the planet Uranus are lining up, that increases your chance of an accident.
Wow.
It makes a person impatient. It makes them rush things. That increases the chance of an accident.
Now, you had a client who did not take your advice and ended up dying.
Yes, he was an actor of some note.
Who was it? You can't tell the name.
He was in the first season of the TV series Oz on HBO years ago, and
Wow.
Denzel Washington came to his funeral. They were friends, but one of his monthly charts was the worst chart I ever saw.
What did it show?
And it
That he was going to have an accident.
High probability of an accident, and the planet Pluto, the planet of extremes, was right on the rising sign. I told him to travel, and he said he was in a play, he couldn't do it. So,
May he rest in peace.
I told him, don't drive. And he drove and was killed on the west side.
Now, you were able to tell him and pinpoint the date and the time he was going to die?
I was able to pinpoint the month.
The month.
And I told him, don't drive. And he drove.
And he's dead.
Unfortunately, yeah.
Well, quite a bit is happening this time. There's going to be this gigantic snowstorm in the Northeast, and that affects transportation all over the world. Naturally, this is happening during a retrograde Mercury. Retrograde Mercury causes delays in transportation and communication all over the world. And retrograde Mercuries have been really bad the last few years. The last two retrograde Mercuries have been ones for the books. There's even more happening, though. There's a full moon coming, and the full moon is going to intensify the effects, because during a full moon, people in general tend to become more emotional, and they're going to tend to make decisions on an emotional basis rather than thinking it through. Well, in the Northeast, that means all the grocery stores and supermarkets are going to have their shelves stripped bare because everyone thinks that the snowstorm is Armageddon. It's not. Don't worry about it. The next thing is that retrograde Mercury is going to be ending, thank goodness, on January 25th. However, the effect of the retrograde Mercury can last after that. Even after the Mercury turns forward, it's moving very slowly, and all the things that could not get started during the retrograde Mercury try to get started all at once. So for about a week after January 25th, things are still going to be very hectic, but at least now we'll be able to begin major projects. There's more. There's this planet alignment. All of the visible planets, Mercury, Venus, Mars, Jupiter, and Saturn, are within one corner of the sky, and it's possible if you stay up late, if you stay up till like 3 in the morning, you'll be able to see all of them at once. Now, what does this do? It intensifies things. When the planets are hanging out in one portion of the sky, it energizes that portion. Now, it depends on your individual chart. Where does this hit in your chart? That's the area of your life that's going to be most intensified. So you have to check your own horoscope out and see exactly where this pileup of planets is going to be hitting you. And by the way, I do horoscopes. If you go to my website, bobmarksastrologer.com, you can order a chart and you can see exactly where this is going to be hitting in your personal life. Now, one of those planets is Mars, and Mars is in Scorpio. It's very, very strong in Scorpio. I always tell this story. Let's say somebody with Mars in Scorpio was elected president of the United States. All of a sudden, there's an alien attack from outer space. What's the Mars and Scorpio president going to do? Right away, they're going to reach for the thermonuclear weapons. Now, let's say somebody else with Mars and Scorpio is sitting there, minding their own business, and a fly is buzzing around their head, annoying them. Right away, they're going to reach for the thermonuclear weapons. You see, Mars and Scorpio, the anger is on or it's off, nothing in between. People who are born with Mars and Scorpio have to really learn to choose their battles, because for them, there is no small battle. It's all or nothing. What does this do for the world? It means any battles in the world are going to intensify as well. Mars in Scorpio is a warrior position, and warriors don't just sit there. This is part of the planet alignment. So the Mars in Scorpio is going to just be intensifying that even more. And of course, the primaries are coming up. And the Mars in Scorpio, watch the candidates get really savage with each other. Oh boy. It's going to be better than any reality TV show.
So what you're actually telling me, Bob Marks, astrologer extraordinaire, is that you can actually save someone's life if they listen to you, right?
Well, yes.
How?
Astrology is like headlights on a car. You turn them on at night when you're driving, and you see what's in the road ahead of you. The headlights help save lives too, don't they?
Mm-hmm.
You see what's in the road ahead. If there's danger, you step on the brakes. And that's what you do with a horoscope. You see what's coming up in the future, and if there's a problem, you step on the brakes.
How do you feel about having this power and saving someone's life?
What do you mean power? It's like, how do you feel about having eyes? You know, you see danger, you stop it. It's as simple as that.
Is it very rewarding for you to know that you're saving someone's life and helping someone?
Well, of course. What do you think?
Why do you do it? It's not just the money.
That's right. It's not just the money. You know, where by seeing what's coming for people, you can actually help them. And, you know, by looking at people's charts, sometimes you get people who their life is just on the wrong course. They'll take a career or a job that they hate just because they think it's practical, and their chart is pointing them in a totally different direction. I have to tell these people that it's impractical to be miserable. Then they start seeing. But you know, astrology is just like headlights on a car. It's just like a road map. The road map doesn't take the trip for you, but it helps you get where you want to go.
So you're more than an astrologer. You're a psychiatrist, a psychologist, guidance counselor.
It winds up that way, yes.
Uh-huh.
But the whole thing comes back to the horoscope.
But people have to believe that the horoscope can change your life.
No, they don't have to believe it at all. Do you have to believe in the law of gravity before you drop something and it falls?
But they have to listen to you and take your advice.
I had one client once who I was reading her chart, and I told her that in a couple of months her boss would get jealous. He would suddenly turn against her, and he would sabotage her and fire her. And she said that she loved the reading, but that one thing that I told her about her boss was just totally off the wall. She got along great with her boss, and a few months later she called me after he fired her.
Wow.
It showed in the chart. She had afflictions to the house of employment.
Have you ever diagnosed somebody or predicted something that didn't happen? Were you wrong?
Sure.
You are.
Sure, you know, especially when you first start out. You know,
when you first started in the business.
Well, yes, because you know, there's a learning curve, and you have to remember that astrology is a science of probabilities. It doesn't say you're going to have an accident on a certain day. It says there's an increased chance of having an accident on a certain day, and now that you know this, you can prevent it.
How? How can you prevent it?
Go slowly, for one thing. Don't do anything really crazy. Like I saw potential accidents in one woman's chart, and I said, don't do anything dangerous in the month of April because you have these accident aspects. And she says, oh, that's when I was going to take my skydiving lessons. So you see, when these accident aspects hit, they could actually make people want to take risks. It increases the chance that a person will take risks. That increases the chance of accidents.
How frustrating is it to you when you read someone's chart and you see very bad things in it and they don't want to take your advice? What do you do? How do you convince them to? Tell them they're going to die?
No, listen. My job is to look at their chart, to tell them what's coming up. A long time ago, I just told myself that that's as far as it goes. Otherwise, I'd go crazy. With seeing people, getting into the wrong things, getting into accidents, taking the wrong moves, and that it could be prevented. So I just got to the point where I tell them what the story is. What they do with it is their business.
So you can actually predict someone's birth, someone's
You
death.
can't predict someone's birth because you have their birth chart already. You can predict when someone is about to give birth. Yes, you can predict that. You can predict times of danger of death. You don't really predict death, because that's too fatalistic. You see when there's a danger, and you help people prevent death.
So you help people prevent death.
Yes.
You help people earn money or choose a career that can earn them lots of money.
Sure, that's
you tell them where to be at what place to travel, maybe on their birthday and half birthday to improve their life.
Yes, that's right.
What else do you do?
That's enough.
Can you also predict somebody getting married to someone else if the planets line up in their favor?
Sure. As a matter of fact, I did that just a little while ago for this nice Aquarian client. This is an interesting story. Aquarius is what's called an air sign. Air is intellect. And I predicted that she would meet somebody during a certain month, and she did. A nice Gemini, another air sign. Now, what do air signs do? They talk. So what happened? They went out several times, and as they were dating, they started asking themselves, should we go further? Should we have a relationship? And after several weeks of this, they couldn't decide, so they flipped a coin. Do you believe that? Only air signs would do that. Fire signs, forget it. 1, 2, 3, they've done it. But an air sign, they had to talk about whether or not they should have a relationship. And they flipped a coin, and they're married now, and they have a child.
Wow. And they named the child after you, right?
I have no idea. I didn't ask.
So you actually have brought people together. You're a matchmaker, too.
Well,
You're not
I didn't bring them together. I just told her when she would meet Mr. Right.
And it happened automatically.
Yeah. Once I told her, naturally she's on the lookout during that month. So that makes it more likely.
How do you factor in fate, destiny, what's meant to be, or being in the right time at the right place?
There's wiggle room. The horoscope may set some boundaries in your life, but you don't have to stay at one level. Let's say the horoscope says you're never going to be rich, but you could raise your income by 10%, 20%. There's a range there. You're not limited to just one point. There's wiggle room inside of your horoscope.
So they should see Bob Marks, astrologer extraordinaire, remarkable astrologer extraordinaire, because they could better their life through finding a new love relationship, earning a better income, etc. Right?
Well, yes. That's I've seen it done. I've done it.
Is it a big responsibility for you to take on, to have someone's life in their hands and do this?
Someone's life. What do you mean, someone's
Well,
life
I mean,
in their hands?
People are visiting you because they're unhappy, okay, in some way with their present life. So you're, seeing these people and they want you to help them change it or make it better.
And I try, and I help them change it.
Is it a big responsibility to take that on and do it?
No, it's a big responsibility not to do that and to watch them go down. That's a big responsibility. That's the responsibility I don't want. That's why I help people make things better.
So your accuracy rate is about 100% then?
I don't know. I never bothered to keep track. I'm too busy doing the charts.
Have you ever, made a wrong, guess in terms of telling people what they should do or shouldn't do?
Yeah, especially when I was first starting out. Like I say, there is a learning curve. It's like when you get a doctor fresh out of medical school, and they come up with a wrong diagnosis. And even an experienced doctor every now and then can come up with a wrong diagnosis. But you'll learn after a while. That you'll learn how to minimize that.
Well, today the planet Venus has changed signs. It's going into the sign of Sagittarius. Normally, this is a nice light breezy Venus. It's a Venus that's good for parties. It's a Venus that's good for a little bit of adventure. There's a few problems, though. First problem is Venus is going to make a stress angle, 90 degrees, with the planet Neptune. Venus-Neptune means you think you found your soulmate. But what you've actually found was just a hologram, just an illusion. And then Venus, a few days later, is going to go right over the planet Saturn, the planet of cold reality, and boom. So in the emotional area, in the relationship area, watch out for the up and the down. Be very careful of that. Be a little cautious when you think you've found your soulmate. Maybe it's not the soul, it's the heel, so you have to watch out for that. Now, then on New Year's Eve, that theme continues. With New Year's Eve, the New Year's Eve chart for the country, the Venus is still got that stress angle with the planet Neptune. So over the course of the year, we're going to see again the same number of ups and downs when it comes to relationships. Be careful with your relationships, folks. The other thing is retrograde Mercury. If you do a horoscope for the exact moment that Mercury goes retrograde, it shows a theme of the retrograde. It shows if the retrograde will be really bad or maybe not so bad. Retrograde Mercury causes delays. Delays, more delays. It's going to turn retrograde on January the 5th. It's going to stay retrograde until January the 25th. Terrible time to sign an important paper or to start a major project. Usually, if you start a major project on a retrograde Mercury, you will probably have to start it over again at a later date. All the little things will tend to go wrong. Well, this time, Mercury, when it turns retrograde, is going to be 90 degrees away, that same stress angle, we call it the square, with the planet Mars. And this makes for shorter tempers and it makes for arguments. Now, with retrograde Mercury, there's always delays. But with a square from Mars, everybody wants everything to be done now. So there's going to be plenty of arguments because things aren't getting done now. There are delays, there are frustrations. Be especially careful if you're driving with this one, because this increases the chance of road rage and at the very least short tempers. And just be a little careful and don't rush. The new year is also a good time to consider your birthday. By traveling on your birthday, you could change your horoscope and change your life. And if you travel on your birthday, you can strengthen any area of your life that you like. Career, finances, relationships. And of course, it doesn't affect the rest of your horoscope, but the birthday chart is the foundation of your personal year. You can go to my website, bobmarksastrologer.com, and order a birthday chart, a solar return chart. Now, this also works 6 months later with your half birthday. The half birthday chart governs the last half of your personal year. So check out my website, bobmarksastrologer.com. That's all we have time for today, folks. Until next time, this is Bob Marks for Astrology Now saying Happy New Year and may the stars be with you.
Can you help extend someone's life?
Well, if you make a person wealthier, if you get them into a better job, you make them happier, you get them into a better relationship, but yes.
It's amazing. How do you feel about this power?
What power? It's how does a doctor feel about power? The power they have to heal. That's what they do. This is what I do.
Are you afraid to give wrong advice?
I try not to give wrong advice. Remember, astrology is probabilities. You tell a person that something is more likely to happen at a certain time, or less likely to happen. If somebody is looking for a new job, you can tell them not on this day, on another day.
But that's scary to have that kind of power.
It's not scary.
Why not?
It's like, do you walk around with your eyes closed because you're scared of what you can see?
No.
Okay, that answers your question.
Let's talk about your clients, okay? You have a lot of celebrity clients, right?
I don't talk about my clients.
Why not?
It's confidential information.
You have a lot of celebrities, right?
I have some celebrities, yes.
Okay, and you have a lot of just run-of-the-mill people too, like me.
Yeah, yes, I have all sorts of clients.
Okay,
But I do not talk about them. I do not give out their names. I do not tell anything else about their charts or anything that would divulge their identities. It's confidential information.
okay. But you're going to definitely tell them if you see something bad or something good coming,
Of
or
course.
try to help them.
Of course.
You know, attain success, monetary means, careers, love relationships, health.
Yes.
Hello, I'm Bob Marks, and this program is about astrology. Now, the presidential elections are coming up next year, 2016, and already one of the candidates is making a very big splash, Donald Trump. Donald Trump is a Gemini sun sign, and Gemini likes to talk. But you also have to look at the rising sign. That's the sign that was rising in the eastern horizon when you were born. And Donald Trump's rising sign is Leo, the sign of show business, the sign that likes to make a big splash and get plenty of attention. And, well, he's certainly getting plenty of attention. Something else in his horoscope, too. The moon shows your emotions, your feelings. His moon is in Sagittarius. Sagittarius is a sign that has a channel that goes from the brain to the mouth, and whatever they think they say, it comes right out. And that's exactly what's been happening to Donald Trump. No, he doesn't use a teleprompter. He doesn't need one. Everything he says is perfect to begin with. Sagittarius also is the sign of foreigners, foreign places, people at a great distance. And of course, he became famous lately for saying things about Mexico and Mexican immigrants. No, all Mexicans are not rapists and thieves. As a matter of fact, the vast majority, just like the vast majority of any group, are decent, hardworking people. But if you say that, it doesn't make a big splash. Well, Donald Trump may be going great guns now. But in September, on the 17th, the planet Saturn is going to go into the sign of Sagittarius. Saturn, the planet of restrictions. Saturn, Lord Karma, the planet of as he sows, so shall he reap. It's going to give him the results of his actions. And it will slowly strangle his presidential ambitions. The same thing happened to Richard Nixon in 1972 to 1974. As a matter of fact, back then in January of 74, I made a prediction that he would be out of office by September. I was off by 1 month. The planet Saturn was hitting Richard Nixon then, and it will be hitting Donald Trump after September the 17th. Now, how about Hillary? Poor Hillary. We're not 100% certain of the time of her birth. We don't know if it's AM or PM. Well, both charts shows that she's going to have a rough time. Now, when the planet Saturn goes into the sign of Sagittarius, it hits Donald Trump very badly. It will also hit Hillary. She is born with the planet Jupiter, the planet of good luck and expansion, right at the beginning of Sagittarius. So as soon as the planet Saturn crosses over, it's going to hit her Jupiter, and it's going to reduce her good luck. That's when things will start coming apart for her. It's going to be after September, and the Saturn will be staying there in the neighborhood of her Jupiter for quite a while. Well, those are two people who one is definitely not going to make it, and the other will probably not make it. But we have plenty of other candidates there. You know, looking at the news programs these days with the presidential candidates, you don't know if you've tuned into the news or you've tuned into a Comedy Central show. It's just one laugh riot after another until we figure out that, wait a minute, one of these idiots is going to be governing us in a couple of years. You have to look at the horoscope of the United States too. The United States has the sun in the sign of Cancer. And right opposite that sun right now is the planet Pluto. Now, why is an opposition bad? Well, if you have something opposite your sun, it's something coming to you from other people. And in this case, it's Pluto, the planet that rips everything apart. So this country has a rough time of it. At any rate, if you look at your horoscope, people can make choices the way a nation can't.
This is the year of the presidential election. Tell me about the candidates, okay? You've done research on them or try to get some background history of them and make predictions about their lives and their careers, okay? So who's going to win the election?
A Democrat.
Hillary Clinton.
There's a tiny town in northern New Hampshire called Dixville Notch. And in 1960, the residents there got together and started a tradition. They would meet at midnight on election day, and they would all cast their votes at once. I mean, there's only about a dozen people in town who could vote. And they count the votes, and they report them right away, so they could be the first ones to report the results on election day. Now, astrologically, that means that's the beginning of the presidential election.
It sounds like Groundhog Day.
And by looking at the chart for midnight, Dixville Notch on election day for presidential elections, you can predict which party is going to win. Now, you can't always say which person. You see,
Who can predict?
It shows
these local townspeople.
I predicted if you look at the charts ever since 1960, it shows either that the party in power stays in power, or that it's thrown out and a new party takes over. And it's been consistent since 1960. And this time around, it shows that the party in power will not change. Not in 2016.
Yes.
Not in 2020. So there's a Democrat in power for the next 8 years.
And it's going to be Hillary Clinton.
And then in 2024, there will be a sudden and dramatic change. Something unexpected.
Oh, so you knocked out, just now by telling me that, knocked out Donald Trump, right?
They're all knocked out.
Who else? Bernie Sanders.
No. Bernie Sanders is. I said a Democrat would win. I didn't say which Democrat. But there's only.
Well, I hope it's Hillary Clinton, because she's going to set a new precedent for the presidency.
Well,
and she has Bill behind her. Pardon the expression.
Bernie Sanders. Bernie Sanders is his son is born. He was born with the sun in the middle of Virgo. Right now, the planet Saturn is around 90 degrees. That's going to cut him off. He's going to peak, and then he will decline.
So it's Hillary then.
Yes, by a process of elimination.
I hope so.
It's not so much that her chart is strong. It's that everybody around her is weaker. And you have to look at it. You have to look at it that way. You can't just look at somebody's chart and say, "Oh, it's terrible. They're not going to get elected," because the person they're running against could be worse.
So we're talking about all the others dropping off. Everyone from Trump to Sanders to who else? Cruz.
First of all, Donald Trump and Marco Rubio are both Geminis. The planet Saturn is in the sign of Sagittarius, which is opposite. Saturn is slowly strangling Donald Trump. Now, he has a chance for a comeback after March. But between now and the middle of to the end of March, when Saturn turns retrograde, Saturn is moving against him. So he's going to have a tougher time. He may have it a little bit easier after March, but February and March are critical months. If he doesn't make it then, he's going to be out. So a Democrat will get elected because the election chart for Dixville Notch from midnight on election day is not afflicted. And that means the party in power stays in power.
So it'll be the Democrats.
Yeah.
And it'll be Hillary Clinton.
Well, Bernie Sanders is a Virgo, and the Saturn is afflicting him too. So again, he's peaking now. The Saturn is going to pull him down later. Let's see about the others. As far as this country goes, this country has some very difficult transits. The planet Pluto, the planet of extremes, is opposite the sun in the United States horoscope. And the United States horoscope is set for July 4th, 1776. Pluto opposite the sun means the country is polarized. Well, this country is really polarized now. They say that Democrats and Republicans are not even talking to each other.
And look who's running. You're talking about Christie, right? Mm-hmm. You're talking about Trump. We're talking about Sanders. We're talking about who else? Cruz?
They're all going to be, most of them are going to be dropping by the wayside. The main thing is a Democrat is going to get elected the next two times, 2016 and 2020. Now, I was looking for a more accurate method to predict what happens to a country. So I started doing birthday charts for the United States every 4th of July. But a year for a person is very important. But for a country, what's 1 year? Nothing. So I looked for a longer cycle. And I looked at the Saturn return cycles. That's every 29 years. And I did every Saturn return for the United States. The worst chart was the chart for 1834. It lasted till 1864, and a horrible chart. And we had two wars, the Mexican War and the Civil War. Horrible chart. Now, the chart for 2011 is just as bad. I don't know that it will get us into a war, but that's a distinct possibility. And it will be a very draining time for the United States. This chart lasts until 2040. Don't worry, folks. The United States was founded with the Jupiter in the sun sign, so we've always gotten by on luck, and that will tend to carry us through. And besides that, you cannot change the horoscope of a country, but you could change your individual horoscopes by traveling on your birthday.
Won't this be the most incredible election ever to finally put into the office of the president a female? Have a female president, okay, who is setting a precedent for this office.
Yes, that will be another barrier down, and it will be another advance for the country. But remember, no matter who gets elected, they do have to do a good job.
But the advantage that this woman has is the fact that her husband was president of the United States.
Yes, that's right. They're a team. Bill Clinton was a master. I mean, astrology aside for the moment, while Newt Gingrich was trying to have him impeached, he was still meeting with Newt Gingrich, and they were making deals about how best to run the country.
So this will be a good thing for the United States of America, right?
It's the United States of America, as I said, is going to have a bumpy time. It's, Dickens again. It was the best of times. It was the worst of times. That's where we are. That's where we're heading. What
will her presidency be like?
I can't say specifically about her presidency, but I can say certain things about what's coming up for the United States.
Is there a possibility of Michael Bloomberg coming out of the woodwork somewhere and becoming president?
No, not in this universe.
What will the country be like if Hillary Clinton gets elected?
Well, no matter who gets elected president, this country is in for a bumpy road for the next couple of decades. For one thing, that's deal with Iran. Forget it. They're on their way to getting a bomb, and that's going to make things pretty dicey. Around 2026, the horoscope shows that there's going to be trouble coming from Iran. That's a big thing. There are crises coming at us from many corners. The planets Uranus and Pluto did this. They made, in astrology, when planets make a 90-degree angle with each other from the standpoint of the Earth, that's stressful. And when Uranus and Pluto do that, it turns everything upside down. They did that in the 1930s. And during that time, Hitler took power in Germany, Japan invaded China, and Mussolini invaded Ethiopia. And catastrophic as those things were, they only set the stage for World War II. Well, we just had 7 90-degree angles, 7 squares between Uranus and Pluto between 2011, and the last one was March 16th, 2015. And it's not just that it makes for a time of crisis, it gets the ball rolling. There's going to be continued crises because of those squares. So the 2020s are going to be a rather difficult time for the whole world, a time of upheavals. Of course, that's for the world itself, but individual people, of course, can always maneuver. You know, you take care of your own horoscope, you take care of your own life, and you can get through any difficulties that may happen to the world.
What will Hillary Clinton's win in the election do for America?
Well, we'll finally have a woman elected president of the United States, so another barrier will have fallen.
Yes, good. And how do you think she'll do as president? Do you know?
Let her get elected first, and then we'll take a look specifically at her horoscope and see what's going on. I haven't looked that far ahead yet.
What do you think about the people who are running in the same election with her? Are they jerks? Are they just doing it because they want to get press out of this, like a Trump?
Oh, most of them are just, it's
a joke.
It's really sad. It's really sad. It's like a big cosmic joke. Trump is turning the whole thing into a reality show. It's very sad.
What do you think about the candidates that are running in this election?
They're all a bunch of clowns and misfits, and this country is in trouble. And that shows in the country's horoscope too. We're having basically at least a decade of trouble here, if not longer.
What does it say about the country? Are we all falling apart here?
The country is in a time of transformation. That's what the Uranus and Pluto have shown. These are planets of change, and change doesn't come easily. The old way of doing things no longer applies, and things are rearranging. And that's there's going to be a lot more crisis in the world.
Like
so
what?
Everything from financial crises to political crises to wars, revolutions around the world. That's going to continue. That's not going to change. There is no stable aspect until 2040. After that, we get back on track. But look at it this way: it's an exciting time to be alive.
And if Hillary wins, it'll be an advancement for America, wouldn't it?
Yeah, it'll be an advancement. Finally, a woman taking the highest office in the land. Yes.
Let's talk about Donald Trump. I did Donald Trump's horoscope a while ago, and I mentioned that around this time he would be saying something really stupid that would sabotage his campaign, and sure enough, it happened. One of the reasons it did was because this T-cross hits Donald Trump's horoscope. It hit his Jupiter. What's Jupiter? Jupiter is expansion. And with Jupiter, sometimes we overexpand. We know no bounds. We think we can do no wrong. And Donald Trump, with his Leo rising, apparently thinks he could do no wrong. And what is the negative side of Leo? The negative side of Leo is that they want attention no matter what. Well, he's got attention no matter what. And he managed in one statement to go against the entire history of the United States. This has always been a country where people can come to because of religious persecution. It's a country where you can have any religion or no religion, and we don't care. You know, that's your business. Apparently, Donald Trump wants to change that now. Well, again, it's the planet Saturn that's doing it for Donald Trump. The planet Saturn is now opposite his sun sign. His sun is Gemini, and his moon is Sagittarius. Now, Gemini is very good with words, but Sagittarius has a channel that goes from the brain to the mouth, and whatever they think tends to come right out. And Donald Trump's moon seems to be predominating at this time. The planet Saturn is going through Sagittarius, and it's getting closer and closer to his sun and his moon. And what does Saturn do when Saturn is acting like that? It slowly strangles you. It puts one burden on you after another. And unless you're very good, unless you take care of everything and dot all the I's and dot all the T's, you won't get through that time period. Saturn is going to keep Donald Trump from being president. Well, that's what you say astrologically. In actual fact, we just have to look and see what Donald Trump is doing and saying, and we know automatically he's not going to get elected president. But it's that Saturn that's going to be dragging him down. Hello, I'm Bob Marks, and this is Astrology Now. This is the program for people who want to learn about astrology. Well, it's going to be an interesting week, folks. The planet Venus, the planet of love, is going right on top of the planet Pluto. This is interesting because Venus is in Capricorn, a sign that's more laid back. It's a little more defensive. And it's on Pluto, the planet of obsession. So this can intensify relationships. It can not only intensify relationships, it can make people obsessed about somebody, or it could make them totally repelled by them. At the same time, in another day, Venus is going to be 90 degrees away from Uranus, the square aspect. Venus-Uranus is sudden attractions, sudden repulsions. If you have an attraction to somebody in the next few days, don't think that you've met your soulmate. Give it a couple of days. If it still lasts after that, you've got something. But a lot of times, Venus-Uranus means sudden attraction, and it does not last. Be very careful with your relationships now and with your money. With Venus making that square to Uranus, you'll see something and say, I must have it, it's gorgeous. And then you get it home and you say, what was I thinking? So be very careful with both love and money for the next few days. Now, on the positive side, the Sun and Uranus are making a good aspect. Uranus is everything that's new and different. This is a time to do things that are new and different. That crazy idea you had, pursue it. How about Mercury and Jupiter? They're making a good aspect too, a trine. This is great for communications. Do you have any important communications that you have to take care of? Maybe you've been putting them off. Well, now you can take care of them, especially business communications. Both Mercury and Jupiter are in business signs. Mercury in Capricorn and Jupiter in Virgo. This is a time to take care of any and all business communications. Be a little careful on Sunday, though. That's when the Sun and Mars are going to be 90 degrees apart. That's potentially an argument day, and that is Super Bowl Sunday. So watch out for arguments over football. However, Venus on Sunday makes a good aspect with Mars. So if you're having an argument with your spouse about Super Bowl Sunday, don't worry. You could make it up later in the bedroom. So that will be that could smooth things over. Now there's a new moon coming up. The new moon is in Aquarius, and once again, Aquarius is a sign that wants to be different. A new moon shows things that are starting. But this new moon, 90 degrees away from Mars. That gives you energy, it gives you enthusiasm, but watch out for the arguments, watch out for the fights. You'll want something that, this is great, I've got to do it right now, and you'll get opposition. So make an extra effort to avoid arguments and disputes. And this is the new moon that's going to be in effect for the New Hampshire primary, and also I believe for the South Carolina primary. So expect to see the election process heating up too. That's getting more interesting now as all those candidates with small poll numbers are dropping out. Now we're going to see the real battles. Mars, people will be attacking each other more and more. How unusual for politicians during election time. Well, that's about all we have time for today, folks. It's going to be a very interesting week. So until next time, this is Bob Marks for Astrology Now saying, may the stars be with you.
Tell me about the book you wrote and how can we get a copy of it?
My book is called How to Get More Love, Money, and Success by Traveling on Your Birthday. It's available on Amazon.com and BarnesandNoble.com. And that book gives a lot of case histories about people that I've actually sent traveling and what's happened to them. And basically it tells how to change your birthday and half-birthday horoscopes to find the best spot for you.
And how do they contact you personally to set up a consultation?
My phone number is 212-535-1549. It's 212-535-1549. My website is bobmarksastrologer.com. Now, on my website, I have over 200 pages of free astrology lessons. I got tired of having to explain to people that astrology is more than just 12 sun signs. So if you want to learn astrology, the lessons are free on bobmarksastrologer.com.
And they can look you up on YouTube too, right?
That's right. I'm also on YouTube, Bob Marks Astrologer. I have a program every week, a short program, just between 2 and 4 minutes, and I make forecasts for the week.
And you can save lives.
Yes, and even without saving lives, you can improve them.
And they can buy your book?
Yes, you can buy my book on Amazon.com or BarnesandNoble.com. How to Get More Love, Money, and Success by Traveling on Your Birthday.
And I'm going to do that myself right now. So will everyone else.